Hello, YouTube. I'm not even going to intro anymore. I'm not going to intro. But I am eating some rainbow cookies and brownie ice cream. But I'm here to answer the question on everybody's lips. Oh, shouting. I'm here to answer most of the questions you all ask me. Marrying a Muslim. That's what we're going to call this. Let's call it that. Anyone who doesn't know who I am, I'm Aaliyah. Nice to meet you. Thank you for coming to my channel. I do hope that you follow or subscribe or both. But anyway, Mame, Amos. I'm half Jamaican, quarter English, quarter Irish. And my husband is Farhan, and he is half Somali, quarter Pakistani, quarter Arab. Arab being Yemeni. And everybody's like, what? How? Are you a Reva? Are you not a Reva? How? What about the in-laws? What about this? How do you interact with that? Do your kids see their grandparents? There is so many frigging questions, which I get. I'm not offended by the questions, but I've never really... I do answer the questions, and especially on like TikTok Live, we get lots of those questions, and I try my best to answer them. But you know what TikTok Live is like? You answer the question, and the next minute there's another blooming question again, isn't there? And it's the same blooming question, but because they just joined, they didn't see your answer. So I'm going to put it out there. I'm going to make it really generic, so then everyone can jump on here and watch and see and view and do their thing. Let's just start. We met via work. Now there is a video on how we met. I'm going to link it there. If you want to see how we met, there it is. But we met via work. Obviously, I knew he was one religion, I'm the other. He's a Muslim, I'm Christian. And the first thing I asked him was, how do you want to raise your children? You know, and he was like, my children, I want them to be raised Muslim. And I was like, well, what does that look like?
I had a conversation, I think it was like before we even started dating, you were asking me like all kinds of questions. I was like, what? Just kept asking me everything. Yeah, but what about this? What about Muslims and this? I was just like, yo, I'm not even going out with you. Do you know what I mean? She's just like if we had kids, I was like, what?
Look, I need to know if I'm wasting my time.
Yeah. I was like, well, this is weird. This is crazy.
But I even said to him, we're not dating. Imagine if we spent 6 years dating, and then you were like, Matt, I've got to get married now because our kids have got to be Muslim. I'd be like, what? Sometimes you've got to just get them things out of the way, man.
100%, man. Have the conversations.
So we've had all these conversations. I don't want people to think that we had kids and it was like, oh, as a Muslim, your kids must be raised Muslim. That's not how it went. Now, I get, and I want to make a disclaimer. This is my opinion. This is my personal experience. This is not here to cause offence to anyone. This is not here to change anyone else's mind who believes any different. And this is just mine and Farhan's experience. Farhan is sitting over there in the room.
Hey guys.
But he's there with the baby. He might jump in, he might not. Whatever. Anyway, I'm here to tell my side of the story. So, let's just start with the first thing. How does it work? So, Far obviously is Muslim. Far has certain things he has to follow. He has certain views, certain beliefs, certain... I want to say rules. Let's just say like do's and don'ts. Do you agree with that? And me, I'm Christian, raised Christian, but I also had my black side of the family, like my grandma, my dad, everyone else, are Jehovah's Witness. So I've always had like a bit of interracial and interreligious in my family, you know, always, because obviously like I've got a white Irish mom and I've got an Irish grandma, and then I've got like a Jamaican grandma, you know, so I've always kind of had that, and I've always kind of been able to make my way around that without having to, you know, say, well, this is me, so that you stay over there because we believe different things. That's not how I'm raised. So anyway, Far does his thing, I do mine, in the sense of, I know he prays, I respect his prayer, I've learnt lots about Islam. We don't eat pork in our house. I'm not a big pork eater anyway. I've never really been a pork eater. I have eaten pork. I do eat pork, just to make that clear, but very rarely. I never want it, ever. So we don't eat pork in our house. We don't cook pork. I really feel like some people are going to be like, well, why are you sitting there with your shoulders out? I'm trying to figure out a way to answer these questions without digressing. So yeah, how we do it is Farhan minds his business and I mind mine, in the sense of he does what he needs to do to satisfy himself and to maintain his religion, to maintain his relationship with God. And I respect that. I never say, well, why not, why this, but why? And I do mine. I never intervene in that, but equally I respect that. So if he goes to a mosque and I'm with him, I'll go in the mosque. Obviously I'll cover, I'll wear hijab. Most of the time his family or his sister is around and she'll just give me an abaya because it's much easier. Because like now I'm wearing a dress and it's a very long dress down to the ankle and long sleeve, but obviously this. So I'll just throw on an abaya because then I know, you know, I'm not even pushing the limit there. So yeah, I've been in the mosque. And we've never been to church together though. I've always said that to you. Would you go to church?
I've been to churches before.
No, but not to like celebrate Jesus. I mean like go gospel church. I've always said that.
If you were going, I'd support you.
I've always said I wanted him to go to church, but for like Sunday church, you know, with the singing. Oh, anyway, that's how we work it. I've learned lots about Islam. I've not really taught him much about Christianity, but he knows loads about Christianity, where me, I didn't really know much about Islam.
I've read the Bible.
When did you read the Bible?
Well, throughout school.
I remember writing a note saying, for religious studies, saying, I said I was Jehovah's Witness. I told a blatant lie and I wrote the note and I said it was from my mum because I just didn't want to study it. And I just didn't want it. I just felt like it was a bit politicky, don't you think? People like debating in the classroom, you know, like they were fully arguing.
That's how you learn, man.
No, I didn't.
People have to be able to ask questions.
No, they weren't asking questions. They were like, we had some guy called who was Jehovah's Witness. And they were like, so why don't you celebrate Christmas then, Jack? He was like, because this is this. And they were like, no, it's not. And he was like, yes, do the maths. If you did it, and I'm like, oh my fucking god, man.
So you shouldn't be debating it, but you should be, if people have genuine questions, then yeah, answer. But if you're trying to compete, then that's never a good sign. No one's
I'm just a strong believer, and I know there's going to be some Muslims or some people of other religions who are going to say, no, that's not enough. But I am a strong believer in being a good person because, you know, I believe that you can follow any religion, but if you're not a great person, if your intentions aren't great, and for me, it's pointless. So I just like to practice being a good person first. And, you know, I have a relationship with God, and that's just that. I respect Farhan's religion, he respects mine. In regards to the in-laws, let's talk about the in-laws, because everybody's like, well, what about the in-laws? Right, so, I met Far's dad before I met his mom, but she obviously knew of me. I'm trying to think, because it feels like such a long time ago.
hilarious.
When I met him, in the thing, he was like, she is crazy, wallah. Wallahi, she is crazy.
I think he wasn't,
No, I don't think he meant like I'm psychotic. I mean that as in like she's a wild child.
Yeah, I think you're a very truthful person. You're always trying to be as honest as possible and you're bold about your honesty. So that was kind of, I think that's what he was like, she's nuts. Like, you know,
I'm very honest. Almost too honest. So I met his dad. I met his dad first. His dad thought I was crazy. Crazy in the sense of like, whoa. Because obviously culturally, most women just, you know, it's you serve your husband first. You know, you serve your husband and you're serving God. Is that correct? Would you agree with that?
I don't know about that.
Okay, well I think that's how it's seen because it's like your man is like on a pedestal. Like the women don't say anything. I'm just gonna say, in his culture, women aren't very vocal. If women have got like an issue or a perspective which might seem a bit blah, you know what I mean? How can I say that? Blah.
Controversial.
Yeah.
Difficult.
Controversial.
Or difficult or against the grain. They don't
say it.
They're not vocal in front of other groups.
No, they don't say it. They only say it in front of their husband. That's it.
Yeah.
And his mum even said that to me. She was like, us Somalis, if you've ever got a problem, wait. And I was like, oh hell, that's who I am. Don't get me wrong, I'm not going to have a fight in the street. But anyway, his dad was like, she's crazy. He didn't say fucking, but you know, he was like, wallahi, this woman's crazy. But he liked me. I think he liked me, but I could tell, I'll be honest, did he like me? Yes. Would he have preferred a Somali or an Arab woman? Probably. That's just facts. He's never said that to me. Far's never said that to me. But from what I've learned about the culture, they want culture to stick with culture. Do you disagree? People believe that if you stick with what you know and what you are, then you're never going to lose that. But in my opinion, if he is as strong about his religion, about his culture, about his faith, about carrying that forward within himself, within our marriage, within our children, then that's his responsibility. It's nobody else's, whether he has a Somali wife, Arab wife or whatever. So anyway, met his dad thought I was crazy, and then I was like, what about your mum? It's so weird that I've not met your mum. And then his dad was like, his mum thinks you're too loud. I met her, we got along fine. She never said to me, oh, you must revert. And I never said to her, should I revert? Because I would never ask a question that I wouldn't fulfill. So I've never asked her. I don't know if she ever wants me to revert. She's never asked me to revert, nor as far as dad. Would I ever revert? I'll never say never, but I would never do it half-heartedly in the sense of, like now, today, it's Eid today. Oh, Eid Mubarak. So, it's Eid today, and I decided to wrap that part of my hair. Now, I wasn't trying to imitate a Muslim, because if I was, I would have covered my whole head. Not that there's anything wrong with not covering your whole head, but this is what I meant by cutting corners. You see what I mean? Like, I don't want to cover my whole head. So, if I'm going to revert, I don't want to revert and then change, like bend the rules. And so many people say to me, well, why not? Because if you revert and then you sin, you're still a step, is it a step closer?
More than a step, a couple of hundred steps.
They say if you revert then and then you sin, you're still better than sinning as a non-revert.
Yeah.
Well, for me, I'll disagree in my opinion. Like, I would never sign up to do a marathon if I'm not going to practice for the marathon. Like, me, if I do something, I do it like, I'm like that. So, would I ever revert? Never say never. I'm not closed down to it, but would I revert right now if you asked me to? No. Because I couldn't even wear that scarf for 4 hours. I was like my neck, I just needed to take it off. And I'm like, I know it's incredibly dramatic because there's women in Saudi Arabia in 40-degree heat in hijabs, and they literally look like the most delicate flowers. They're so graceful with it, and I'm like, sweat. Like, I'm just being extra. I'm extra. I know I'm being extra. Far's family live in London, so we used to go to London quite a lot. And back then, I would just do whatever Far wanted me to do. If he'd say, oh, I want to see my mum this weekend and we're going to go here, okay, cool, I will go there. I didn't really care, like, no here or there in the sense of, like, what plans he made on my behalf. I've never cared for that. So I would always participate. But obviously, we've had children since. So since having children, dynamics have changed because I'll be brutally honest, I've got kids to look after now. So, like, if I wants to go and see his mom or his dad or whatever, I'm like, enjoy, but it won't change because I want to stay here with my kids. I'm happy to go down and see everybody, but I won't be doing it as frequently as I ever did.
To have anxiety sometimes and be very anxious about offending people or getting things wrong.
And they're so loud, his family, put them all together. No disrespect, but just his family and them. Stuck in 20 plus people. I'm from a single parent household with 3 kids, me being one of the kids. Our Christmas sounds like when them lot are silent, and I say them not just being Far's family.
Bedtime. That's what it sounds like at Christmas.
They're shouting over each other. That was a massive cultural shock for me. I used to always say I've got a headache. When I left, I had a headache, and I never wanted it to come across rude, but it's just so opposite to how I was raised.
Listen, Somalis and Yemenis, we're not. We live life at a high volume.
There's 30 conversations going on. 30. I remember saying, whoa, everybody stop. She's talking to him, we can't even hear. And they're just like, what on earth is this girl saying? She's ridiculous. They're just shouting over each other. There's literally...
You go outside just to get like a breathe or something.
Yeah, I'd say, oh, I'm a bit hungry. I'm going to go to the high street. Genuinely, I couldn't tolerate the noise for that long. So I know from social media perspective, you guys look at it and like, where are the family? But it's completely cut down so much now because I've had children, and for me it's really important not to drag my children 400 miles. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not the same, is it? Being two single individuals, I say single, but you know, two young married individuals who can just drive down, stay wherever, drive up 3 a.m. in the morning. It's different when you've got kids, especially too. I'll admit to you guys that, like, I never wanted to people please anyone, but before I had kids, I would just kind of go along, you know. It never bothered me. Like, if you want me to wear hijab for Eid day, even though I'm not going into the mosque or prayer, I would do that. If you didn't, I would do that. When now I'm like, no, actually, I'm representing myself. I'm a bit more sturdy, like, you know what, actually, I'd rather not. And so far, nobody has raised an issue with me. So I know from social media you might think it looks a certain way, but it's so different. And also, social media is our platform. I would never want to share someone else on there. So when he sees his eddos, his aunties, his cousins, of course he has a great time. Of course we take a million pictures, but I never share those pictures because obviously it's got other people's children on there. It's got the adults on there. Some of these adults have got certain jobs where they might not be able to share themselves on a platform like ours. So I'd rather not be accountable for anybody but myself. Even my friends, I don't share anybody on there. Never share a face because I just think I can't be bothered. But in regards to me and Far's mom, because everybody asks that all the time, do we get along, do we not? It's like that. Like, Far is the double white line in the middle of the road, and I'm the left-hand traffic, she's the right-hand traffic. It's kind of become that now. We're not like besties who text. Like, she goes one way, I go the other, and like, I'm actually cool with that. Like, I'm a bit of a, like, I'm a professional loner, me, you know. In regards to Far's dad is like Far. It's like a fun version of Far. Far's mum's like traditionally Somali. Far's dad, he just wants to be Farhan. Like, he just wants to be younger, doesn't he? Again, he does. Your dad wants to be one of the boys. His dad is like me. So me and Far's dad speak a bit more frequently because every time he's on the phone, he's like, Aliyah, where is Aliyah? Aliyah, you know. And that's just that. Like I said, me and Far's family, when I went in there, and that's when I say when I entered the marriage and entered the relationship, I had way more time, way more, you know...
Way less responsibilities.
Way more time, way less, way more time, much less responsibility. But also, don't forget, I'm married at 19. It's almost 10 years. It's almost 10 years. 10 years since marriage. I'm not the same woman I was then. And now, I almost feel in my heart that I'm becoming the woman that I'm going to live to be in my older years, like 30, 40, 50, whatever. And I'll be brutally honest, not that there was anything wrong with 9-year-old me, but I'm not that same person. I don't actually care to impress anybody. Not just Far's family, but friends, people, colleagues. I wanted, you know, I feel like as 19-year-olds, you want to say, you know, am I accepted by you? Whether you accept me or not, it doesn't matter to me, but the fact that you accept me means something. That's not who I am anymore. So I'll be honest, I don't really care. That's my approach, in the nicest way though, in the most respectful way. Anyway, loads of people ask, are our kids being raised Muslim? Yes, they are. That was something that I literally asked the day before. I found out enough about Islam to be comfortable enough to say, you know what, actually, although I can't commit to it, I'm more than happy for my boys to commit to it. Now, if they have any kind of questions or issues along the road, then we'll take it from there. But as of right now, they're raised Muslim. They pray. They celebrate the religious holidays. We are teaching them Somali, which is also the slight bit of Arabic, so they're able to communicate in, you know, their culture's language. And yeah. I can't remember if anybody's asked, but obviously they're Muslim. So yeah, I circumcised both my boys. And even if they was non-Muslim, and I married somebody called Robert, I would have circumcised my boys.
First off, you didn't circumcise them. They went to the doctors and got circumcised. Sounds weird.
I held their hand. Look at him staring at me. I love it, Mama. Want to say hi to YouTube? He said hi, YouTube. He wants to say hi. Come on then, Daddy. He's tired. Look at his little whelp. Oh, you my baby. Yeah. Hi, Mama. This is Jedi. He's 7 months. He's a bit tired, aren't you, Mama? Got a big gas as well. There it is. I know that a bit of gas. They held my finger. Oh! Dad's not very good at this, is he? He's got wind, loads of it. Their hands held my finger and I literally watched every inch of it. You know when you grow a baby in your belly, and this is no disrespect to them because there's so many mums who are like, I can't watch it, I can't see it, I can't. But for me, if I'm growing this baby in my belly and pushing them out my vagina, believe you me, I'm going to watch every inch of skin you squeeze, every pound of flesh you cut. I want to see what you're doing to my baby. So I watched it in heavy detail. I even joke and tell everybody I'd probably be able to complete a circumcision now because I've seen it twice. And Far was like, ooh, ooh. So he's flinching, looking away, and I'm just like, I'm holding this baby's hand like this. Are we done? Yeah? Yeah? Oh, okay. What material is that you're doing right now? That was me. So the answer to your questions is yes. It does work if you want it to work. And it don't if you don't. And I know there's going to be some people who disagree with that. And they're going to be like, no, a Muslim should be with a Muslim. No, a Somali should be with a Somali, or an Arab should be with an Arab. And that is great for you. But we're not you. What? What's wrong with you? You what? God, he's moaning now about the baby having the fork. It's a baby's fork. Do you think he's going to pierce his lip with it? We would like, whether I'm Muslim or not, to take our children to Hajj and Umrah. It's so expensive, isn't it? But we would like to take them. And I will, even Muslim or not, at the time, whenever we go, I will, participate. Is it rude to participate? Can I? Well, I can't go there. Well, if I can't go there, then I will definitely go. And Far will take the boys in. I don't know. I don't know what the stitch is. Maybe you guys can answer that for me. Can I go Hajj if I'm not Muslim? But I will wear, the abaya and the hijab. Can I? But we've always wanted to take the boys to Hajj. And we will take the boys to Hajj, inshallah. Are you happy? Yeah. Say mama. Not just about Far's family, but like both our families. What was our family's opinions getting married so young? So I just want to clear up the fact that our marriage was never asked of us. It was never arranged for us. It was never requested of us. Me and Far, some of you might say astaghfirullah now, you might. I'll be honest. But me and Far, we dated before we was married. And the more I learned about Far's religion, he's looking at me, can I not say this? Okay. The more I learned about Far's religion, and I used to ask him at least 5 times a day, teach me something else, tell me another fact, tell me another fact. So the more I learned about Far's religion, I think after time, I realised, he never said it to me, but I realised that actually, he's going against his religion for me. And I never said to him, oh my God, are you breaking your religion? But I was very conscious when the dots connected in my mind, and I realised that actually he's committing a sin to date me right now. It was me who said, you know what? Because when I met his dad the first time, he was like, when is the marriage? And we were just like, oh my God, don't be ridiculous. But then when the dots aligned for me, I was like, no, actually, he's not following his religion because of me. So then I was like, maybe we should take your dad upon his offer. And he was like, what? And I was like, yeah. And I was like, we should maybe, take your dad. I say take your dad up. I don't know why I said take your dad up. Because I'm just trying to say, your dad mentioned it. Maybe we should do it. And Far was like, don't be so blooming crazy. And I was like, yeah. So I always joke to this day and say, actually, you didn't propose to me. Your dad did. But that's for another day. But people ask how our families took it. So my mom was like overjoyed. Just at the idea of Far. Are you shouting? You're shouting. Because when she met him and, spoke to him, she was just so blown away with how kind he was. But then my dad was like, what? What?
You forgot polite and handsome too.
Why don't you show them your face? Maybe some of them haven't seen your face.
Hello, everybody.
It's the guy with Crime Watch. Maybe a bit too close to the lens though. I'm gonna show all your
My wrinkles.
yeah. My dad was like, "You what? What does that mean? You're gonna leave the country?" And I was like, "Don't be so blooming ridiculous." And then my dad met Far on Christmas Day, didn't he? Was it Christmas Day that you met my dad?
He looks like Drake.
Yeah, my dad's a Brummie.
He looks like Drake.
He's like, "Is that Drake? Is that Drake outside?" That was a really bad accent. Is that Drake outside? No, my dad asked him loads of questions like,
Are you gonna get a second wife?
are you going to get a second wife? I've heard that you can have a second wife. Why is it you want to marry? And my dad just didn't, my dad couldn't understand, couldn't grasp the fact that we were having a religious marriage. Not, if we would have said, Dad, we're getting married, you know, meet us at the church or meet us at the venue or whatever. It didn't have to be a religious perspective in regards to a church. But if I would have said, Dad, I'm getting married, meet us at the park at this day, this is where our ceremony is, he probably wouldn't have said anything. But we were like, no, Dad, we're getting married and the first step is in the car. And he was like, what? And that's when his mind was just blown and he thought we were doing it in the car so if I could get an extra wife and he thought, you know, he thought so many things. But after that, he got along with Far fine. He gets along with Far fine, but it's so difficult to have this conversation with you all because he gets along with Far fine, he got along with Far fine, he's met Far, they get along, but my relationship with my dad is strained, so that also naturally impacts Farhan's relationship with my dad. But that's for another story, you know, I'm not trying to get into all that. You all need to remember that regardless of whether what Far is or who Far is and what I am and who I am, there's people who come before us that naturally change us and impact us as people, and when that happens, it naturally, you know, muddies the water. Even if nothing's happened. So Far's met my parents, but I'm not really that close to my parents, so do they get along? Yeah. Do we see them every Sunday? No, but that's just my dynamic. That's just who I am as a person and what I carry with me. It's my baggage. So that's why sometimes I suppose some of you can be a bit confused because we don't have this dynamic on the internet where we're like projecting positivity. And I would never want to lie to you all, but equally I don't want to just make social media like a depressing thing of like, you know what, actually I've experienced some shit, we don't want to get into that, you know, so that's probably why though the dots aren't connecting, do you think? Maybe I just realised that now. There's no secrets, but you know, there's a time and place for everything. And I'm going to say this now, and the reason why I'm going to say it and I'm going to make sure I put it in there is because I keep having this dream, right, that I have a BBC 3. I've been obsessed with BBC 3 for 15 years plus. I've got my own BBC 3 documentary. It's called My Life and Me. Oh, genuinely, I'm not joking. Why are you like looking at me like that? I've got my own BBC 3 documentary. I haven't. But in this dream that I keep having, I'm on this BBC 3 documentary called My Life and Me, and I'm telling you all about just everything, which would make you all understand everything. And I'm just like, wait, is that actually going to happen? Is that going to happen? I'm going to put that out there now because then when it does happen, I'm going to be like, remember when I said that on the 21st of April, 2023? Mm-hmm. Wild. I think he thought he was trying to protect me in the early days, but every time I would meet like the in-laws, like, you know, like your auntie or like your mom, he wasn't that bothered about his dad, but like his mom, his auntie, and the rest of his family, he'd be like, you know, maybe don't say so much. So you didn't tell me like what to say and what not to say, or what to be and what not to be. But you did actually, you know, in no words, kind of say rein it in, didn't you? You did. He did. And I always left the situation feeling like they had a different perspective and perception. Perspective of me. I always felt as though they thought I was somebody I'm not. And then after I had kids, I said, look, I'm going to lie to you. I'm going to swear right now. I cut the bullshit. I just want to be who I am. I do swear sometimes. I'm a bit rowdy. I'm a little bit louder than most, you know, Muslim women are. And I just want to be open and honest about that. Does he do my head in sometimes? Yeah. Do I tell him about that? Yeah. Is that culturally appropriate? Probably not, but that's just who I am. And honestly, ever since I've had kids and I've been more myself, I've had a greater relationship, I'll be honest.
Moral of the story, be yourself.
Moral of the story, keep your nose out. Anyway,
Probably say, eat ice cream and go to bed.
that's all I think we've got to say. That's most of your questions, or that's most of what I can think of that would answer your questions in one. I hope that sums things up for you. I hope it's a bit more clearer. Don't forget, we do have Instagram at Salah Socials and TikTok at _Salah Socials. So follow us on there too and just get to know us a bit more. Love ya!